Okay, if I am going to do this episode from home instead of the really photogenic studio, I'm going to do it in my bathroom, because I can. I still did my eyes and everything though. I'm not a savage. Welcome to Big Music Energy, where we're trying to be the people we needed when we first started out. I am Edmund Clara, aka Spooky Rockstar, a full-time music producer here in the San Francisco Bay Area. If it were not painfully obvious, we are not in the studio for this episode because everybody's in shelter in place for coronavirus. I know there's a lot of you stressing out about this time right now, and I know there's a lot of you musicians who had to cancel gigs and are losing out on money. A lot of my bartender friends are really stressing out right now, and my heart goes out to all of you. But I also see a lot of you online talking about how you're gonna use this time to be really productive musically. So I thought it'd be really good to make a list of things you can do at home as music makers to stay productive. Of course, there are things that are on there that are kind of obvious, like writing and recording, but there are also things that are going to be on this list that are not so obvious. And in addition to the things you can do, I'm going to be adding pro tips to help maximize your productivity. Now, for some reason you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about all this shelter in place stuff and why we're staying at home. Why don't you know about that? Are you watching this like 200 years in the future or something? If you are watching this at 200 years in the future, are lightsabers a thing yet? Is YouTube even still a thing, or are you watching this on some holographic archive about people with narcissistic tendencies? Moving on, in March 2020, we're in the middle of a global pandemic and people have been ordered to shelter in place to keep the virus from spreading. Go look it up. All right, let's start with the obvious ones first. These are fairly obvious, and I see a lot of you people are already gearing up to do these, but I feel like if I don't mention them, people are gonna point them out as if I missed them, and I don't feel like dealing with that. Besides, I'm not just gonna be rattling off things you can do while on lockdown. I'm gonna also be giving pro tips on how to maximize your productivity while doing those particular tasks. First on the list, this is a chance to finish up and polish up a bunch of your tracks. A lot of you write like crazy, a lot of you are more meticulous about it. I see you perfectionists out there. I think you guys should concentrate on finishing a track. Those millions of ideas lying around don't have a purpose. It's a lot easier for those ideas to have a purpose if they're close to finish or finished. Whether it's selling them, whether it's selling them to a publishing company, whether it's getting them placed in a movie, having those done, those opportunities and those purposes will come a lot quicker. Plus, it saves you a lot of work. If an artist comes to me looking for certain kind of beats or certain kind of songs or tracks, I usually show stuff that's way closer to finish. That way, if they like something, I don't have to finish it first and then work on it to tailor it to them. But if you're asking, well, how do I finish a track? I'm kind of stuck. Concentrate on something that we call energy curves. If you think of each section of your song as an energy curve, like here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's the bridge, a way to finish your track is to map those out and see if they make a cohesive statement. And also to see if your track's relative energy curves are dramatic. You don't want your verse to be here and then your chorus to be here and then your verse to be here. People's attention spans these days, regardless of age or style, just won't put up with it. Work on making those energy curves a little more drastic. This is true whether it's full-on production or just vocals and piano. If you don't believe me when I say that energy curves are important, imagine a song where the groove and the beat and the bass line riff and the guitar riff and the melody are just the same throughout the whole song. And even the lyrics, they don't even really go anywhere. They don't even have a story per se. That's gonna be a pretty fucking boring song. Now, of course, when I say things like this, invariably somebody's gonna say, well, what about this song? That's an outlier. If you find a way to make your energy curves exciting, I really think your audience will respond to it. And it's a great way to look at your songs and figure out where they need to go so that you can finish them. We do have a full video coming out talking about energy curves alone. So if you want to see that, maybe give a like, give a subscribe, hit us up in the comments, let that algorithm know that you really want to see it. Let's move on to the next one. Second obvious one on the list is recording. Now this might be a little harder for some of you if you don't have the equipment for it, but if you do have the equipment for it, for whatever it is you play, now might be a good time to drop that vocal track or do some overdubs for your instruments. At our studio, I know it's a big endeavor to line up everybody's schedules for recording, all the session players, all the band members, whatever. If everybody's willing to do some overdubs from their remote locations, it might be a really good time to finish some tracks. If you're in a band and you're feeling super adventurous, now might be a time to try one of those DAWs that lets you record in real time in sync with your other band members remotely over an internet connection. I've never done that myself, but I hear it's pretty cool. I think Reason does it. I think Pro Tools does it. Ableton. It might be a lot to figure out, but you might be stuck at home with the time. I hope you have a lot of patience and a good internet connection. That's all I'm saying. Now we're going to move on to things that are a little more fringe, the more esoteric tasks. These are things you can do if you can't or simply don't want to record and write. Now's a good time, if you don't have a systemized workflow, to systemize your workflow. We have a workflow at the studio and we did a whole video on it. If you want to see that, it's in one of the corners somewhere, or it'll be down in the comments. But the main gist of it is you don't want to be wandering between writing, mixing, and recording kind of willy-nilly. It's super inefficient, and if you have a deadline, it makes it almost impossible to track whether you're ahead of schedule, behind schedule, or right on track. A really awesome tool that I found for mapping out a workflow is Coggle.it, and the best part is it's free. So for instance, on Coggle, you just set a phase, and then from there you can map out all the little parts that are needed to complete that phase. I'm gonna let you judge on how detailed you wanna go with this, but once that's done, you have a pretty good flow map, and from there you can just add completion estimate times for each part of the phase. Obviously you're gonna tweak it and revise it as you use it, but it's only gonna keep getting better and better. And then once you have a good system down like this, once a project comes in, you just fill in the dates here, here, and here, and now you can track how well you're doing on your project. Systemizing a workflow will really help you go a long way to completing projects a lot faster. What you can't track, you can't improve. For those of you working on a DAW or a computer, another way to systemize your workflow is to build your toolbox. Building your toolbox is simply making presets and templates for all your most common tasks. I know for some of you, the part of the fun is creating a unique vocal chain for every vocalist that comes into the studio. But for most of you, I know you have your go-to equipment, both hardware and software. So go into your DAW, start saving your favorite sounds, your favorite drum banks, your favorite synths, your favorite guitar effects chains, your favorite bass effects chains. You get the idea. Go one step further and save a template for the various tasks. Have a writing template, have a recording template. By building up a major bank of presets and templates, you'd be surprised how often that starts contributing to your own signature sound. You know what? I thought I was done, but then I realized there is one more obvious thing you could be doing while on lockdown, and that is live streaming. Now that is obvious because I see a lot of you already doing it, but let's give you those pro tips. For those of you about to start live streaming, or for those of you who are already doing it, I encourage you guys to find a little corner in your home, make it nice. It doesn't have to be movie set quality. It doesn't have to be your permanent corner for doing live streaming. I'm just saying, light some candles, clean up the spot, let the audience know that you put in some effort, and it will go a long way. If you're wondering which streaming service to use, I'd suggest using the one where you already have a social media presence. You do have an official brand page, not just your personal account for your social media stuff, right? Oh my God, okay, if you don't, then that's next on the list. But as far as streaming goes, yeah, make your spot look nice, and pro tip, interact with your audience. Don't just hit the stream button and play a bunch of songs. Answer questions, say hi to people as they show up. It's social media and it works a lot better if you're actually social. Pro tip number 2, if you are looking for potential new fans, throw some covers into your set. Most algorithms are going to push your stream to randos, and when those randos tune into your stream, you have about 10 seconds to keep them hooked. If you're killing it on a cover song they happen to like, they're gonna stick around for more. And eventually they're gonna care about you, and they're gonna wanna hear your original music too. Okay, I keep thinking I'm done, but then things keep coming up. So for those of you who are stuck at home and you don't have an official dedicated social media account, set one of those up. Social media is non-negotiable as an artist in 2020. If you want a breakdown of why it's non-negotiable, we did a whole video on that, and it's in the corner or in the description or both. It doesn't matter which social media service you sign up on. Even if you're like a 20-year-old on Facebook or a 50-year-old on TikTok, you know, the opposite of what is kind of perceived as who's on those platforms. There's still plenty of your demographic on whichever platform you choose, so just pick one and run with it. It is the quickest way for most of you to build a fan base if you don't have a shit ton of money, but it is still a marathon and not a sprint. So if you don't have an official social media platform, now's the time to start building up your fan base and growing your fan base. All right, y'all, that should be plenty for you guys to do while you're stuck at home as artists and music makers. Those of you who watched to the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. If you have any questions, if you want more details, let us know in the comments. Or if there's something you'd like to see us cover, let us know. And as always, if you had got anything from this, if you enjoyed your content, this is a new channel, we'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. All of you hunkered down at home, I wish you safety and health. Take care of yourself and others, stay productive, and go write the next big hit.